with Discovery Bank's vision?
So I think the vision for Discovery Bank is very much aligned with our purpose at Discovery. Discovery as an organization, some of the viewers may be familiar with, is born out of a fairly simple but profound purpose of making people healthier. And if I go back 20, 25 years, the sort of the health insurance environment was one where it was focused entirely on paying for healthcare when people got sick. And we sort of flipped that on its head, largely as a result of I guess, an appreciation that if you could make people healthier, you could bring down the cost of providing health insurance. You could bring down the cost of life insurance, and you could run a better business in terms of profitability of the insurer and better persistency. So the interests of the client and the insurer were completely aligned, and that sort of gave us entree into the world of shared value, which is a concept that was then I suppose really concretized by Professor Michael Porter, and I think is seen today as sort of from a business perspective, a model that really does align the interests of the customer, the business, and broader society, and our entire approach in every sort of vertical of our business is premised on a very similar mindset. So Discovery Bank was really built then on the back of a very similar vision. Could we make our customers by really, I guess, sort of focusing on the behaviors that drive better financial outcomes? Could we get them through incentives and nudges and information and knowledge to really act in a way that's better for themselves in the long term financially and better for us as a bank? So in other words, lower default rates, better persistency, better sort of transaction frequency and utility, but in a way that's good for both parties. And I think one of the impediments to doing that over the years was the fact that banks traditionally needed real branch infrastructures. They needed sort of bricks and mortar, and a lot of when you're moving cash around, in particular, the role of a bricks and mortar branch environment is absolutely crucial. But what we started to really observe was that banking was going digital. And when the technology sort of got to a point where we felt, we can combine the behavioral knowledge that we built up, the data that we built up over decades on our client base, which was incredibly rich, the experience that we built up on our Discovery card base, which was probably the most successful standalone credit card in the country at the time, and then real digital technology. If we could bring it all together, we thought, this is an opportunity to build a really purpose-driven, disruptive bank, and that sort of in a nutshell is what got us to that point.
Let's touch on this purpose then, right? Because a lot of people may not believe some of the items. Every company has a vision. Every company goes out and says, we've got a purpose and we've got values. 99.99% of companies actually, in my honest opinion, are putting lipstick on a pig. They're using their marketing team to invent something. Maybe they want to do it, but it never quite actually, lands. Now, if you go back in, what was it, 94, somewhere around that period when Adrian Gore is coming up with this idea about Discovery, and you were there or thereabouts at the start. How intrinsic was the purpose about making people or helping people live longer and more healthily to everything that happened with Discovery, whether it's the medical, whether it's on the life insurance, whether it's on the driving insurance that's coming through? Because a lot of people are probably going to think that the profit motive is what's driving Discovery. And maybe that's the case. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Talk me back about how important that purpose is.
So I think the purpose is the foundation of the organization. Quite simply, if something doesn't align with the purpose, we won't do it. And it may be the most profitable potential business segment. If it's not aligned to our purpose and we can't see a way to aligning it, we wouldn't do it. I think the maybe a few proof points in a sense are, if you had to talk to our staff, often you speak to sort of people across the organization, and some may know the sort of the vision of the organization, as you say. But I'd argue that ordinarily most don't, because the visions are often crafted in boardrooms, and don't really sort of manifest outside of that much. And they often are long-winded statements around return on capital and things like that. Ours is actually very simple. Making people healthier is what we're about. And the evidence, I would argue, is if you had to stop any employee, if you take the 11,000 employees that we have at One Discovery Place, not all present today, but if you ask any of them, you stop them, and we often discuss this, and we sometimes do it. Ask any of them, what is the purpose of Discovery? I would argue that 100% will tell you, we're here to make people healthier. They may not exactly know what that translates into actuarially, and how their role fits into that precisely, but they know that as an organization, that is what we're here to do. And it's central to everything. At a product level, it drives who we are. So if you think about vitality, which today underpins every single thing that we do, vitality was born purely out of a desire to create incentives that drive the right behaviors to make people healthier. Simple as that. It is all about positive incentives that are designed to drive those kinds of behavioral outcomes. And we know explicitly and implicitly that if we get it right, it will have a profound impact on our clients. There's nothing more important to people than their health. And you can see in a COVID environment, that has been proven. I think that when we started, often health or wellness was fluffy. You go back, you said 94, that was the era of aerobics and sort of pretty light health.
Mm.
We saw a very different vision around preventive care, around actually managing people's care, making them truly healthier, and in so doing, reducing the risk of the risk pool. It was sort of a combined actuarial approach on one hand, that if you can do it, you can have a massive differentiator and long-term advantage in the products that you offer. But at a client level, we also knew that we would change people's lives. And I think that's really what's fueled the organization. And hopefully our clients see it in sort of everything that we do. So when it came to vaccinations, we didn't hesitate. We've invested hundreds of millions in building vaccination centers across the country. And so it is core to who we are.